Hi, I'm Jim Shroyer, host of That's My Farm, and today we're on the Rannells Flint Hills Prairie, south of Manhattan, and we're going to be talking with Dr. Clenton Owensby, a range scientist, about the process of burning the prairie, the pros and cons, and stay tuned, we're going to see it.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Good morning, folks. I'm Jim Shroyer, the host of That's My Farm, and we're in luck today because 1, we're in Riley County, 2, we're on the Rannells Flint Hills Prairie, and 3, we have a renowned range scientist, Dr. Clenton Owensby. And Clinton here has been on the forefront of burning management of the Flint Hills and rangeland in Kansas. He actually pioneered the intensive early grazing program, and one of my favorites is his work from a number of years ago on elevated CO2 and its effect on plant composition of the rangeland. So Clinton, you know, if you're a passerby through the Flint Hills in March and April, you're going to think it's World War III of the flames, the smoke, the scorched earth. So what is it about the Flint Hills and fire that go together?
Well, the first thing about the prairie is rather simple, and that is it wouldn't be the prairie without this fire. There's a coevolution of fire and these grasses and the graziers that were out here. So in the initial development of this prairie, you had fire, you had graziers, and so without those two things, then it disappeared. Initially, the burning occurred basically from lightning strikes, and then Native Americans also set a lot of fires. But then as the European man settled this region, they began to find that livestock could be contained with fire because they sought out those grazed areas, and so they would burn a big patch of ground and they'd know that where their cattle were all the time. And then with the cattle drives that came from down in Texas after the Civil War, then this area in the Flint Hills region of Kansas, which is basically the only area around where burning occurs on a regular basis in the United States. So what happened then was they found out that if those steers that arrived here in the spring were on burned ground, then they gained better. And so they took that as a pretty significant hint and began to do that as well. But naturally, this prairie exists because of the fire excludes pretty much invasion of woody species. And without fire, it's going to go to a scrub woodland type that's basically
Savanna type?
Yeah, well, actually not even, it'll be a closed canopy. It'll be more like the Ozark region.
Really?
It closed completely. So the situation is that without fire, you don't have the Flint Hills.
So how long has this been a prairie? How many years?
Well, basically about after the Wisconsin Age Glacier receded back about 30,000 years ago, the climate changed over time until about 13,000 years ago. This became a warm season perennial grassland type.
So before that, timber?
Timber, yeah, there were trees here, yeah.
Okay. Well, Clinton, hang on, don't go anywhere. We've got to have a word from our sponsors, and you at home, don't touch that dial.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com. Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego is driven by the spirit of American ingenuity. Come in for a new Chevrolet car, truck, or SUV. If we don't have exactly what you want, we'll find it for you. And we also have a great selection of used cars. We make sure you have an easy, fun, and transparent sales experience that saves you time and money. But if you want high-pressure salesmen and hours spent in the finance office, you'll just have to go elsewhere. Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're making car buying great again. That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back, folks. We have Dr. Clenton Owensby here, and we're going to continue talking about burning and rangeland. And so, Clinton, basically, how long have we been burning at K-State?
Well, K-State started their research work in burning probably late 1918, 1919, and with some plots out on the old Casement pastures out there, Dan Casement's place. But then formerly, when A.E. Aldous came, they established these burning plots and ungrazed burning plots up north of the campus.
So they would just burn them but not graze them?
Yeah,
okay.
And that would have been 1926, and that ran until the Horsey people ran me out, which would have been 2003. The longest term burning research work actually in the world there. And what they were very prescient in their design of the initial work, in that they looked at timing as when would you burn and what impact would those different times have. And that turned out to be really a very good approach to this. And so they continued those plots, as I've said, up until 2003. But in 1950, they decided that they would get a grazing area, and Rogler down in Chase County area was in the legislature, and they passed a bill to buy an area for grazing research. And one of the initial projects on there was grazing and burning at different times. And the upshot of that was that they found out very quickly that the cattle gained the best when you burned the prairie just as the warm season perennial grasses began to grow. In addition to that, you had the most soil water, and therefore you had the highest herbage yield. So the situation was that, and it maintained the highest quality grassland. So our research work in that area then told us that we had the opportunity to enhance productivity on the animal. Now, we had another 40 years of research after that where we burned in the late spring and measured cattle gains. And the average over that period of time was that a steer would gain about 32 pounds more. Now, I never thought I'd
over the season?
Over the season.
Right.
But the interesting thing was that also occurred only in the first two months of the season.
Okay, I see where we're going with that. So, okay, we got to take a break right now. Clinton, stay with us, and folks at home, don't touch that dial.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We are having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back. We're here with Dr. Clenton Owensby, and let's continue that thought process on that early gain after burning.
Well, basically what happens is that when you remove the litter from the surface of the soil, that soil begins to warm. And when that soil begins to warm, then the microbial activity increases dramatically. And that then takes those nutrients that are in that old soil organic matter and releases them so the plants can begin to grow. And things like nitrogen and phosphorus, etc.
The cycles, those cycles.
Yeah. So what happens then is that those plants luxury consume that. They take up what's ever there. They're really greedy things. So what you end up with is that on the burned area, you have a higher quality forage. And because it's photosynthetically more active, because it has a higher chlorophyll content, because there's more nitrogen, then it actually produces a more soluble carbohydrates for the animal to eat. All of that put together says that the forage quality is better. It's a higher crude protein, it's a higher digestibility, and therefore the cattle will gain more. But as the plant matures, it begins to take those nutrients that are in the above ground system and put them down below so that they can use them for regrowth following the winter. So the quality begins to decline, and that occurs around the middle of July. So basically, the advantage that you get due to burning in the improved gain is during that period prior to the movement of those nutrients down below the system, below the soil.
So, Clinton, thank you for those comments, and we have to take a break here, so we'll be back in just a moment.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com. That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back. We're here with Dr. Clenton Owensby and talking about rangeland and burning. So Clinton, when's the best time to burn, and what about frequency of burning?
Well, all the research that we've done shows that you burn just at the beginning of growth of the warm season perennial grasses in your region. So that would be earlier in the southern Flint Hills and be later in the northern part of the Flint Hills. And so The reason for that is that you get the obvious best cattle gains, you get the best species composition as far as the grasses are concerned, and lastly, that is about the only time that you can kill woody species, sprouting woody species.
Because they're starting to bloom as well.
Well,
in that
what
process?
they basically do, they have used all their nutrients, resources, their food reserves, and then you catch them at their low point in their food reserves, and therefore you get you can kill them at that time. So timing is critical and should be done just at the beginning of growth of the warm season perennial grasses. Now, frequency is another matter, and that is, if you're a steer guy, if you're out here, you only get the increase in gain during the year that you burn. So you burn every year. So, and it's not going to cause any great change in the soil chemistry or whatever. It's not going to degrade the system to do that. And so we would burn every year with a steer operation. The worst thing you can do is burn every other year or burn every 3 years.
If you're a stalker or anytime?
Anytime. That's the worst thing, because what happens is you burn and you get the woody species, when they are killed, the top is killed, instead of having one tiller come back, 4 will come back. So you increase the stand. And in fact, over on the Kansas Prairie, where they have done research work on the number of years interval with respect to burning, their greatest rate of increase in woody species was burning every 4 years. Okay. So now the answer is, well, is there a situation where you don't have to burn? Well, it depends. If you're a cow-calf operator, it's certainly you don't have to burn every year, because you don't really get a big boost in gain on those calves at that time, because they're not really functional ruminants until later in the season. Exactly. So you can get by with not burning for a period of time. So my recommendation is simply that you not burn until maybe 2 to 3 years, and then you burn 3 years in a row. And then you go back if you want to not burn that particular year. So the frequency with which you burn is dictated largely whether you're a cow-calf or a steer operator. Every year for the steers, and you can skip years with a cow-calf operator.
But if you do skip, you want to then follow it by 2 or 3 years of burning
consecutively
to get rid of those woody species and invasive species coming in.
And things like the invasion of cool season grasses.
Right. Okay, hey, thanks, Clinton. Stay here, don't move, and we'll be right back with a word from our sponsors.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
This is Eric Stonestreet, and as many of you know, I love my home state of Kansas. In March, Kansas ranchers lost homes, equipment, and thousands of cattle from the largest wildfires in the state's history. Imagine losing all you have in a fire. Not just your house, but your livelihood. Ranchers are beginning to rebuild, but it will take years and tens of millions of dollars to build back herds, fences, and other infrastructure. Today, I'm asking you to help. Donate what you can and show your support to the ranchers of Kansas. Simply go to kansasfires.com. Your donation is tax deductible and will go to those who need it the most.
Clyde Sutton, Ness City, Kansas. Lived on this place all my life. About a year and a half ago, got to where I couldn't saddle a horse. The pain was terrible. Read about stem cell. First it wasn't for me, then they started doing neck and back. Before I went down to Manhattan, pain I was having from my neck down to my hand was curling my hand back. Some people had thought I almost had a stroke, and my shoulder had drawed up. I couldn't lift, I couldn't sleep, I really couldn't do anything, and was scheduled to be operated on, but was scared of the knife, I guess. Went and had it done. As you can see, I saddled a horse. I'm still building fence. Love to shoot a shotgun rifle, and I'm able to participate, not like I used to, but nevertheless I can do the things I used to do. And I want to personally thank the doctors, nurses, staff at Kansas Regenerative Medicine for the opportunity they give me to have my life back again.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back, folks. We have Dr. Clenton Owensby talking about burning and rangelands. And Clinton, so, you did some, obviously, you did the early work on intensive early grazing. And so how does that fit in with the with burning?
Well, the actual thing is that with intensive early stalking, you're stalking only when the burning gives you an increase in gain. So that's a really good feature in that regard. And so basically, when we introduced the intensive early stalking program into the Flint Hills, we jumped the average gain per acre from about 60 pounds to about 100 pounds, simply because we were grazing those cattle when we were getting the biggest increase in gain from both the forage quality as well as the burning research.
Because after, what'd you say, mid-July?
Yeah, the gains go down really badly. And so what basically has happened in the hills is that we have a fairly significant percentage of the Flint Hills are grazed intensive early. As a matter of fact, a guy told me the other day that runs trucks in this region that they have a bigger demand for trucks in July than they do in October.
Taking them out.
So they go to the feedlot directly, and there is an increase in feed efficiency in the feedlot, about a pound less feed per pound of gain, simply because of when they finish in November as opposed to the cold months of January. So the hills are basically still a predominantly transient steer grazing area, with the livestock moving out in the middle of July or in October to the feedlot directly. So that's the way the hills work, and it's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Okay. So Clinton, you've told us a little bit about the advantages. What are some of the downsides?
Well, right now the biggest downside is the smoke that goes across Kansas City or Wichita area.
Or even further.
Yes,
to
actually,
the east and northeast.
Yeah, Lincoln has had some problems with that. Basically, what happens is when you burn, you create what are called ozone precursors, and then in the presence of sunlight, that's converted to ozone over these metropolitan areas, and that's a health risk for those people in those areas. It doesn't matter, quite frankly, that they're right up against the limit all the time. But when we burn the Flint Hills, we add to that and it kicks it over. And so EPA said, hey, you will develop a smoke management plan, and that smoke management plan it won't be a regulatory thing. It will be simply telling the ranchers when they should burn if they want to avoid putting this pollution problem across these areas. And so we've developed that, and there's a website called ksfire.org that has a model that tells you for that particular day when where your smoke's going to go, and whether it actually turns the counties red that you shouldn't burn on those days. And so it's been a really good cooperative arrangement between the ranching community and the EPA and the university system to develop this kind of a program so that burning can be maintained in the Flint Hills.
Well, thanks, Clinton. I really appreciate you taking time for us today, and we'll see you all next week on That's My Farm.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamинkansas.com.